my name is WECO. We are here to talk about the greenhouse industry. Let me introduce Matthew from ARC International, who will elaborate on it.
Well, thanks, WECO. I'm looking forward to talking about the greenhouses today, and we'll see you later. Today we're talking about the greenhouses and greenhouse industry as it relates to WECO and WECO Parks and our projects that we have incorporated. Thank you for joining us at WECO2 again. Today we're going to be talking about the greenhouse industry and WECO2. And as you already know through some of the other videos, WECO2 works with the greenhouse industry, in the agriculture industry, it works in the energy industry, it works in the blockchain industry, housing, and many more. But today we're going to focus right in on the greenhouse industry. So we work with a lot of different suppliers to be able to come up with the solutions that WECO offers in its packages. Suppliers that are into manufacturing products that are consumables, manufacturers of products that you're going to use one time, and manufacturers of the infrastructure and the structure itself. So let's get into this and some of these great topics. So WECO2 is located in Kingsville, Ontario. So that's in Essex County, the most southern tip of Canada, just north of Detroit. And it is the location of the North America's largest concentration of greenhouses. Now these greenhouses are made out of glass and they have plastic. But one thing in common is they grow a majority of the pepper, tomatoes, and cucumbers that you see coming out of greenhouses in North America. There's 900 acres plus of peppers grown in greenhouses. Now a pepper plant, so you know, grows up to 19 feet tall. So it's like a little rainforest in there with all of these. And when you look at tomatoes, there's about 800 acres in the greenhouse industry locally, which is an awful lot. And a tomato plant, it grows up to maybe 65 feet long. I mean, that is tremendous amount of vine material that's growing each year. And then cucumbers, there's about 700 acres of cucumbers in our area. And the cucumbers will grow 3 times a year, and they grow about maybe 30 feet long. And there's approximately 200 acres of alternative crops. And these alternative crops are made up of eggplant, lettuce, and cannabis. And those are kind of a specialty crop that people are starting to get into these days in our area as the technology is coming on board to be able to support these things. It is such an interesting thing in our location because we have all of the support from all of the different type of technologies and all the different suppliers located here to make us very, very efficient and very effective. And we're a great community working together, all helping each other to be able to bring forth the ideas that we need to make this industry stronger and stronger. Now we're going to talk about heating, cooling, and electrical in a commercial greenhouse. A greenhouse takes an enormous amount of heating, and it's interesting. Some people think you don't need heating in the summer. There's greenhouses that are in deserts that still need heating because the heating being produced helps push out the humidity. Because a greenhouse wants to work within a certain variance of a perfect temperature, and as a goal as a greenhouse owner or manager is you want to keep that climate exactly in that perfect area so the plant can be able to rest when it needs to rest and produce when it needs to be able to produce, which is the produce which you sell. So every single greenhouse, no matter where it is, needs heating. And the great thing is the heating rails that they have on the ground, the carts ride along and keep the carts on track that the people go up and down on to be able to pick the peppers that are 18 feet tall in the air or the tomatoes that are 16 feet tall in the air growing on these troughs. So the heating, every greenhouse needs it, must have. Cooling, now that's into some specialty crops and depending on the location of where a greenhouse is. When the cannabis industry, they have the cooling to be able to get it at the right temperature so it doesn't get too hot. And when you get into lettuce, there's still cooling in the water to make sure that the water is at the right temperature so the plant's not being taxed or working too hard. Now, electrical, there's a lot of electricity that's needed and all the pumps to move the water, to be able to open the vents and close the vents automatically, and the sensors. So it uses approximately 150 kilowatts per acre of electricity just to be able to operate the greenhouse itself, not the packing area and all the other areas, just the greenhouse. Now, if your greenhouse has lighting, which lighting can benefit a greenhouse in all sorts of areas, even if there is lighting, because our eyes see lighting different than a plant sees it. A plant wants a certain types of wavelengths. So you got your blue and you have your red, and depending on what you're trying to do, you're going to need more of those colors at times. So if you're going to put in lighting, lighting is approximately 400 to 500 kilowatts of electricity per acre. Now that depends if you use a high pressure sodium light up top or if you're using intercropping LED lighting. The fact remains, it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of energy so that we can get the exact climate and the exact lighting that you need to have the best crop that you want. More about greenhouses. We're going to talk about the construction process. So when we work with people, we get ourselves into an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding. So what the Memorandum of Understanding is, it starts to lay out what you do and what our group and our supply chain is going to do for you. But one of the biggest things we have to do is we have to know about your project. So there has to be studies. We have to know the type of ground. We have to know the climate that you're in. We have to know the location. We have to know the type of lighting that you have in the different seasons. All those things are so important because you might be deciding that you want to build a greenhouse in a location that maybe not be the best when there might be a better location nearby. All very valuable things. And it's all to be able to save costs in the construction or ongoing costs that would be part of operations. A lot to think about, but we can get it done in a very short period of time. Once we go through that process, we understand what you want to achieve with us and how we're going to get there. We're going to get more into the project details, the acres within the size or meters squared that you want to be able to produce within the first, second, third, or 10th year, what your timeline is, what your plan is. So we want to be able to put those things together. And we have to understand what type of a crop you want to grow. That is really big because we want to know what type of infrastructure you want to have in that greenhouse so that you can grow a different variety of crops the best that you can. We have the project contract. So the project contract comes in with the terms, the payment terms, and what we need to do and what you're obligated to do. Very important. Then we get into the commissioning. So the commissioning is within being able to put the insurance in place, make sure that we know about the shipping lanes, make sure we know about meet our timelines so that we're able to pull our whole supply chain together. And that supply chain is able to talk and communicate to be able to get the project done in the time that you need to get it done. One thing is when it comes to a greenhouse, you just can't pick a greenhouse and say, I want that one and I want to put it here and I want to build it and I want to grow and I want to be successful. It comes down to understanding the project and what you want to achieve. It takes specialized equipment is another thing that people really don't understand to be able to erect a greenhouse. Now, for example, glazing equipment for the glass that's on top and the gutters. There's only so many people in the world that have been trained and talented enough to be able to install that correctly. There's only so much equipment around the world that we can use and bring in for this project to be able to get that done. And all those things have to be projected out and scheduled. And we have to meet those schedules, or there's penalties if we don't meet the scheduled timeline with the people who are supplying that service to our consortium. It's very, very important. And it's very, very complex because it's not just one company that's supplying everything. It's our consortium, and that's what we do with WECO, with WECO2. We bring in a global network of supply chain that communicates together to be able to meet the project in the timeline and in the budget that's needed to be able to get the job done. You know, outside of all the special workers that need to come to the construction site, outside of the general workers that are from that area, the specialized workers have to be there. They have the experience, they have the know-how, they know exactly what it is to get the job done the right way the first time. And this is where you save your money. This is where you don't get into over budget and issues and complaints and problems. It's about doing it right with the right people and getting as many local people that can fit in where they can as they can. Absolutely. But we can't push out the specialized people. So important. I can't emphasize that enough. So we're going to talk about supplies. Again, going back to WECO has a consortium of international companies. Not one company does it all themselves. nor does one company want to do it all themselves. But WECO shows up as a leader to be able to organize this group of companies. When it comes to the structure, one group that we use, there's multiple groups, provides the posts. Another group, the heating pipes and the welding and the know-how to install it. And another group, the wiring and the interconnection, because they're used to wiring so many greenhouses around the world. There's a special company out of Holland that does the gutters, and it does the glass roof and the structure, and they have a patent on that. And those are the types of groups that we have to work with within their time and their budget to be able to get us the exact product that we need to be able to make your greenhouse the most successful. So there's some people that are very, very specialized in what they do that we have to work with. Then we have groups that have the trough that get extruded right on site in your greenhouse that your plants grow in the growth media for the water collection, for the irrigation system, and they have specialized equipment that we have to organize and bring in. And everything is timed, and it's like an orchestra. But all the companies work together, and we're able to get things done. But again, it goes back to the penalties. Everybody has to be able to pull together to meet their timelines so that we don't have penalties because we have to reschedule because of errors on our part. Now we're going to move on to operational suppliers. We just talked about the structure suppliers. Now in operational suppliers, we're talking about monitoring equipment, we're talking about managing equipment and systems and training that goes into place to be able to have these systems work with the local employees and the training that we'll have with them. There's going to be consumable suppliers within fertilizers, within growth media, within seeds. And we have all those within our organization, within our group, to be able to come and become long-term suppliers and build relationships. Then you have equipment. So we have equipment, the carts, that we have to have the right carts at the right size for different crops to be able to go up and down that incredible height, to be able to pick the different crops, the peppers, the tomatoes, the cucumbers. And there's operating systems that operate that automatically open the shades, close the shades, open up the vents, turn on fans, turn on boilers, turn on chillers to exact temperatures to keep that climate exactly the way it is. And there's management programs for all that. All of those types of things come in to be able to make it more efficient and automated so that you can have the best crop that you need. And with WECO, you get oversight. What we bring is our consortium of companies. We bring in the organization to be able to pull together the project and manage it to completion. And then we're able to bring in, with our clients, a product purchase agreement. So if we know ahead of time going into a project that you want to organize major global purchasers for your product, for exporting from your area, we're able to bring that in. And when we bring that in, we also bring in a growing management system. Because if we're going to come in and we're going to give you a purchase order to be able to buy your product with our consortium, then we're going to bring in a management team to make sure that we're getting the exact product grown in your facility so that that product is the correct product at the correct poundage and yieldage per square meter throughout the entire year. And then we also bring in our brand and our promotion, working with you to be able to bring this forward. So we, through our help, through our connections, through our organization, can bring in the most profitability, the more opportunity for you, because you're allowing us and our group of international experts to do exactly what they do. And when they get a chance to do that, then you're going to make more money than doing it on your own and going through the learning curves and everything else. The benefits of working with WECO2. Our group and our consortium, a lot of these companies that we work with and ourselves have been around for many, many years in this industry. And we know all the tricks of the trade. It becomes so much more hassle-free being able to work with people that have a relationship, that want to see each other's businesses be successful, to be able to have this project management come forward. Bringing the right suppliers, the people that produce the right product. It's not always the cheapest, most cost-effective product, but is the best product for you to be the best and most successful long-term. So it's the right part for the projects. The oversight and the transition and the guarantees that the WECO group brings together to be able to produce a fully operational not just in a structure being constructed, but in the first crop being grown and being able to produce, so that it's in the management system, the people are trained, and the whole system is moving forward so that the investors, the owner group, is the most successful. So it doesn't land back on them to be able to start taking care of problems that they probably don't know a whole lot about. And that's what we're able to bring with our group, our organization of international partners, to not just see a project from the beginning, but see it all the way right into its production and producing product. So with WECO2 being in the heart of North America's greenhouse industry, and this video was about the greenhouse division, but we also have our cogeneration with renewable waste to energy. We also have our indoor aquaculture. We have our biofuels division. We have our bio-leather production division. We have our recaptured water cleaning and fertilizer production system. And we have our plastic recovery to diesel and our plastic to bioproduct production division. So with our demo facility that we have all of these things under one roof with our testing greenhouse, where we work with all of our supply chain, from construction to plastic to growth media to management systems to lighting to fertilizer to seed companies, all at our R&D research center. And this is where we try new things, and we do trials, and we have errors, and we have successes, and we develop techniques, so that it's those wins and those learnings that we go through so that we can be even more successful when we come to your area and we build a WECO park or a WECO part of parks for your community to make you successful. Well, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed yourself learning a little bit more about the greenhouse division within the WECO cluster of technologies, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.